Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Global Business Leaders Forum. And today we're going to talk about practical tools and tips for remote talent management. Last week, we had a panel of 3 senior coaches from around the world talking about sustainable remote talent management. And every now and then what we want to do is, beyond having experts and panelists and thought leaders, is just take a few moments and get very practical on some resources. So today we'll talk about some tools and tips, and these come from the field. In talking to coaches from around the world and listening what their clients are doing, and then also doing a little bit of research. These are 3 areas and some very practical things you can be thinking about as you lead your company at the leadership level to engage and help your team members who are working more remotely during COVID-19. Okay, let's start with the poll. I'm going to go ahead and launch the polling question. So you'll see the poll come on your screen, and I'll just be silent for a few moments. And I'm launching the poll now. So take a look and please give us your answers. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the topic a little more depth today. So when you think about virtual talent sustainability, 7 steps, and let's go through these. Okay, number 1, having structure in a world that has really had a lot of uncertainty. The rules are changing and so on with COVID-19. We're working out of the house. First of all, how do you proactively bring structure? Because structure gives you a feeling of control as an individual of an organization. So that's principle number 1. Number 2 is feelings of having more control creates certainty. So it's like walking a ladder up to sustainability. So the first rung is structure bringing control, control bringing certainty, and then certainty brings the opportunity to have personal productivity. When you have certainty, safety, you can have personal productivity. And then as we work, our dignity increases and we feel a feeling of satisfaction. So being personally productive brings satisfaction, continuing to walk up the ladder towards sustainability long-term. Next is regular live interactions with other people while working virtually, create that connection, particularly the emotional connection as well as the intellectual connection. And then satisfaction combined with connection moves you to the higher rung of positive emotional health when you work virtually sustainably. And again, the context here, many people are working out of their home. They have childcare they need to take care of. The kids are home from school. They have a lot going on, and we'll talk about a little bit later about having office space. And so how do you keep your positive emotional health? And then lastly, that can lead to sustainability. So walk up the ladder towards sustainability, starting with structure, control, certainty, productivity, personal productivity, satisfaction, regular connection, bringing positive emotional health, and then that can be sustained for a long period of time. So those are 7 principles, leaders, you're going to want to have in mind as you think into the future regarding sustainable talent, remote talent management, as well as productivity. Okay, 3 considerations. We'll get very practical today. We'll show you some things, talk about some areas. 3 areas for remote talent engagement. Number 1 is having the right remote working tools for many of your team members who have different situations in their home offices. Okay, how do you standardize those within reason? Okay, number 2, interactive working rhythms, keeping a rhythm going of working and work habits. Okay, and around that is structure. And then number 3 is culture and community connection. Okay, so what are the activities where you take culture and you connect culture as well as you make connection and being very proactive in the activities. So we're going to go and talk about these three areas and give you a few examples too. So I'm going to pause and see if there are any questions here real quick. Okay. Okay, so we're ready to move on. Okay, consideration number 1, remote working tools. Okay, so think about first, and I'm going to show you a tool in minutes where you can get this. So remote, do your team members have a private space at home? And are you aware of that as a leader? Can they shut the door and be somewhere private and work with good concentration? Good to be aware of, okay? You may or may not be able to impact that, but good to be aware of. Number two, lighting, temperature, and color. And what do I mean by that? So lighting, do they have enough light within their space, whether it be natural light, light overhead, or our coaches, Mike Knapp and Van, taught us, you can buy small digital LED lights that you can purchase off Amazon for a reasonable price. If you want light into your room or into your space or virtually, and temperature of their room, and then color. Color makes a big difference within an office, going from drab to colorful, which evokes creativity and evokes creativity. Third area is technology. Do your team members have the right hardware, the right software, the productivity tools, and do they have the bandwidth? Again, I'll share personally my bandwidth here in my home office, in the process of looking at creating that, because the neighborhood I in area is high volume during the day and evening. I need to look at upgrading my bandwidth. Okay. Number four is furniture, and is there space? Do they have the right furniture? A comfortable chair to sit in, a desk in spaces that can elevate. Is there space neat and clean? Clutter creates confusion. Cleanliness creates clarity. So a principle or a rule of thumb for working in a small space. So keep that in mind. And then do you have the right physical virtual tools? What do I mean like that? Do they have a whiteboard if they need it, like the one over here on the wall? Do they have flip charts? Do they have the tools they need to get up and move around and be more kinetic when they're working out of their home office? And small little flip charts from 3M are inexpensive. You can post them on the wall, get some markers, and get that energy and activity going, which we'll see here in a couple of slides. So, and then the last one moves more to the area where you're invoking the brain function and the emotional side of the brain. So toys, puzzles, having white noise to knock down noise outside, speakers, and music if they want to have background music. For example, I use in my home office, I put on classical station in the background while I work, keeps the noise outside. But also in my office too, if you look around, have puzzles and other things that are a lot of fun where I can take a break and look at them and play with them and so on. So making the space quiet, secure, private, I should say, creative, well lit, and then having the right tools. So having the right remote working tools, okay, in order to proceed. So one way to do this, everyone, is Sean on our team for our little company sent out a working from home survey. So a simple survey from SurveyMonkey, etc. And then just ask some logical questions. How are you doing with your productivity? Is there anything you need in productivity, comfort, or inspiration or care? Do a simple survey to your team members and then collect the data to see what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they need. And so that's a best practice we're seeing worldwide right now. Just a quick virtual survey, remote workers. And I would recommend doing that at least on a quarterly basis, depending how far we have to extend what's happening here with COVID. Okay, so I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions that I need to field from participants here. Okay. Okay, so let's keep going. Number two, second consideration, interactive working rhythms. Okay, so we talked about remote working tools. Now let's talk about what are the working rhythms. Okay, going back to creating certainty and structure can lead to a sense of control, which eventually leads to a sense of, or the ability to be personally productive. How do you do that? Having relatively set working hours every day. Okay, having a routine for your remote team members, they can self-define within reason when their day starts and when their day ends, so they have a set working hours. Now, of course, there's flexibility in that, working the evenings and so on. Having that structure is important psychologically, okay? It also creates space where in the past, space was going to the office away from your home. Now you're in your home for 24 hours or 20 hours. How to create space in your home while being in your home? Well, you do that with a look at when you're going to set your hours, having somebody hold you accountable. My day is going to be done at this time every day or most often, and then sticking to that within reason. So you have time separation versus space separation. Second is having the daily rhythm or schedule. And this is a template for a suggestion. So for example, what I do in the morning, I get up, I get my breakfast and so on, but I walk to work. Well, what do you mean by that, Keith? My office, my home is right there. My office, my home. But I go out the front door, I walk around the block, 15-minute walk, big block, come back in the door and come into my office. So I've left the house, walked to work. I've gotten exercise, a mental mind shift, and now in my office. At the end of the day, 5:30-ish, whatever, I walk out of my study, out the front door, I walk back around the block, the same direction, and then I come in the front door and tell Jeanette I'm home. May sound a little silly, but it works. It's separation, to think through things, as well as creates that that space with the exercise. So walk work and walk home from work every day. Okay, huddles. Many of you are already practicing daily huddles. Great. Companies are splitting that into 2 huddles. A morning huddle, which is logical, synchronization, what's up, KPI, where you stuck, and at the end of the day, into what I call an emotional huddle. Okay, emotional. Hey, looking back on your last 8 hours of work or your work day, silence. What emotion are you feeling about today? And simply getting the team together virtually on a Zoom or a GoToMeeting, etc., doing that one question exercise around the team. So everyone on the team is hearing from one another, what for the day? Hey, productivity, frustration, joy, winning, what that is. So you end the day draining the emotion out of the workday before you walk home, as well as signaling your team members how you're doing emotionally. The morning is logic, the evening huddle is emotion. And then you're clean and clear, as one of our teachers, Mo, would say, you're clean and clear and you can go spend time with your family or your hobbies or whatever, okay? So morning huddle, evening huddle, different purposes. Building in breaks, a lunch, movement, exercise, self-explanatory, but build them into calendar, your Apple calendar, etc. And then also daily meditation and mindfulness, particularly with all the uncertainty with COVID going on and some of the brings, and then being somewhat isolated at home. And so what we did is I listened to some resources as well as did a little bit of research. And these are 5 apps on you can get from store, Apple Store, iTunes, etc., that you can take a look at. One of them is more of a gratitude app, so 10% happier, express gratitude in a 15-minute space each day. Calm is just that, quiet music and a daily story. And you can do that in 15 minutes-ish, as well as mindfulness daily, bringing your focus into your day. Pray for those who have a spiritual bent and want to embrace that. It will have a meditation or something to pray about each day. And so these are 5 apps. There are others, but these are 5 of the highest rated apps that have energy out there that you could use in that little mindfulness space, meditation space you build into your calendar each day as you work from home remotely. Okay. And so moving on to the third. Third is culture and connection. So first we talk about remote productivity and tools. Okay, then we just talked about, okay, rhythms for the day. Okay, do I have the tools? Now, do I have the rhythms to have structure, giving me control so I can be productive and satisfied? Now we want to be connected and healthy. So culture and connection activities. Okay, culture is built through relationships, no surprise there. That's how you build a great culture. Relationships are built through conversations, shared experiences, and emotions, positive and negative emotions. So think about that a moment. Okay, I want to build a relationship with another team member or three other team members on my working team. Normally, we're in the building where we can high five or we can share our emotion, we can have a meal. We can't do that. So now having intentional conversation, sharing sort of an experience as well as our emotions. Hey, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling joyous or whatever. We need to make those more intentional. So how do you do that virtually? Well, here's a couple of ideas. I call them key insights. One is a set of principles. Proactively design and build experiences and conversations where emotion can be expressed. The emotions of humor, laughter, and smiles, of concern, empathy, care, of anger, frustration, irritation. So think about how can we build an exercise for our team, at least weekly, or we share it at the end of the day. How can we express our emotions in the different areas so those aren't being kept in where when together they're often they're shared or you can see them in the body language. And then the second area, the key insight, is create delightful surprises. So this is for the HR, the leadership team in your company. How can you create a delightful surprise or experience that will elicit positive emotions from your working team or teams who are now working out of their offices? And you can use tangibles to do that. You can use intangibles, and being somewhat random at times is very, very powerful. An unexpected, delightful surprise is a wonderful way to put a smile on someone's face and affirm their heart, particularly when you not be together, when you're working virtually. So here's an example that has come to us from a company out among the Gravitas worldwide. One is they're sending a little gift pack, okay? And this is not, this will be randomly each quarter, a little gift pack that's wrapped up and mailed to each team member. A budget is to do it. And in this example, the little gift pack, it will be received by the employee, the team member at home. They'll say, hey, what is this? They're not expecting it. They'll open it and there'll be something that has kinetic value, some Legos to build something, maybe instructions to build something that you want to share with your team members, etc. So that's getting the kinetic emotions. Number two, a snack, something they can munch on. Okay, now you're touching another set of emotions, the emotions of pleasure or not so pleasure if you don't like the snack, always a risk. A little perfume vial or something, a little thing of a cologne, perfume, or maybe some potpourri, etc. Thing now they're smelling it, you're getting in there. Then number four, I'm big on this, the coaches know, is a noisemaker. Something to make a little bit of noise, to have a little bit of fun, celebrate when you're together as a team on a weekly meeting. You have noisemakers they can use, celebrate a birthday or whatever. And then last, a little handwritten note. Nothing like the personal touch. Surprise and delight someone with a little something and a personal touch. So this is just one example idea. Leaders run wild, have some fun with this. This reflects your core values as your brand. Weave your brand and your core values into this personal touch. Set a budget, dollars are right, but this will be the best investments you can make. You can do this monthly, you can do it quarterly, that's totally up to you. I wanted to bring you an example of that, okay? And then the other example, that was a tangible, that was a tangible random. So this is an example of more of an intangible scheduled event. So we coaches worldwide, there are 85 or more of us now. We're growing here at Gravitas. Coaches worldwide, so we're spread over 25 time zones. So every other Thursday, twice a month, in the morning in the United States, which is the evening in Africa, Europe, and the Middle East, we get together, we spend an hour, we bring our favorite drink, wear our favorite superhero shirt or country's logo or sports team, and we don't talk about business, if much, just a tiny bit. We talk about our lives. They share something about our families, a hobby we share, but we are going a little more deep into who we are outside of the four walls of work. The four walls don't exist right now, they're virtual. What a great opportunity to connect deeper with team members, which will encourage them, will also help with retention. And so we call it the virtual happy hour. It was created by one of our coaches in Vancouver, Coach Mike Knapp. And so, and then we do one a little bit later in the day for Australia through Brazil, North and South America too. So we cover all the time zones in 2 different events. Same thing, show up with your favorite beverage, okay, show up with some bling or something that shows your personality, and be prepared to share a little something about yourself. And we do a theme with this. Every few weeks, there's a theme on what we're going to share, but we don't reveal it ahead of time. We don't want people thinking about it. We want them to be authentic in the moment. And there's a lot of laughter and a lot of fun if you just study these pictures with their beverages. And yes, some of those beverages do have alcohol in them, I'll warn you. And some of them are not. But their beverage, look at the smiles, the connection. And this is virtual happy hours, a fantastic way to get to know each other and build culture and community. Okay, so that is pretty much it. We just wanted to bring you a little bit of, about 25 minutes of very practical things that are happening out there in the world. Thank you to the clients listening in and the coaches listening in that share these events. Keep them coming to us. Don't forget, you can go to gravitasimpact.com/corona and have webinars, and we have resources there, the COVID-19 Agile Growth Checklist that you can use, as well as other resources. So I'm going to remain online here. I'm going to turn my video off. If you have any questions you want to chat about or ask about, I'll remain on for another 5 minutes. But thanks for listening in. Hope you found this helpful. And please take this recording and share it with another CEO or leadership team member so that we can get the word out how to build remote talent engagement through these times. Thanks everyone for listening.